So honestly, it is difficult, it's not impossible for GCC steel producers to fully shift from DRI to scrap due to technical constraints. However, I think there are certain measures that can be taken to minimize the challenge, which I can summarize in the following points. First, GCC producers, they have to reduce the conversion cost and improve efficiency of operations. This can be done through digitalization and the use of advanced technology to reduce the consumption, improve operation efficiencies, and reduce cost. This might sound difficult solution. However, in Emirates Steel, we managed to control our cost by improving the yield and cutting unnecessary costs. Also, we managed to reduce energy consumption by 30%. In return, it has generated a big saving for the company. All these initiatives put Emirates Steel at the top 30% of the best and most competitive steel companies in the world. The second solution is ensuring the scrap availability at reasonable prices. Yes, there is a limitation in the charging scrap in dry route melting shops, but the percentage of using scrap can increase if there is good quality of scrap at a good price. And I want to share with you here the Emirates Steel experience as well in this subject. Currently, scrap count for 30% of the raw material in one of our DRI-based steelmaking plants. And we aim to increase the usage of scrap as a feedstock for other steel making plants, especially with the surge of iron ore prices. This really helped Emirates Steel to control its feedstock costs. Also, it might worth to mention that Emirates Steel future expansion projects will be scrap-based in order to use more scrap as a main feedstock and to not depend on iron ore. If we can go to the second slide or next slide, please. The third challenge is the export tariff barriers that facing GCC steel producers across the world. Most countries apply tariff barriers like duty, safeguards, anti-dumping duty, and so on, just to protect their domestic market. While trade protection across most countries of the world, GCC producers have restricted options in export markets. As you can see in this slide, most countries of the world have put tariffs or export quota to protect its local steel industry. However, GCC countries have minimal duties, making them target for low-priced imports. GCC being an open market with limited trade barriers.
At a higher price, the consumers would want to buy less, and the place where the supply curve meets the demand curve is what determines the quantities that the mills want to produce and the price. And what happens when you have artificial measures of trade actions and market economy or the free economy not taking place? The supply curve is pushed to the left. And when that happens, new prices and new quantities are determined. And guess what? It's not in the favor of consumers. The quantities are reduced and the prices are increased. Now that's from an academic perspective. Now let's look at what is the practical implication and how it has actually impacted the countries in which it was imposed. So this graph, what you see here, shows the steel indices across various regions over a period of time. And if you notice, in 2018, the US index, steel index, was far higher than the rest of the world. There was a huge gap, and primarily because of Section 232. Now, this is in the country where it was imposed. Now, if we look at it, also in the countries where it was affected. So for this study, what I did was I took the hot band prices or the hot roll coil prices and the hot dip galvanized prices in the Middle East and plotted it over the same period of time. And we see that historically, there's been a healthy margin between the two up until 2018, when the margins shrunk big time, primarily because of closing of the US market and the excess capacities in India and China being redirected to the Middle East market. So coming to Middle East, let's start with the challenges. Political stability, or the lack of it, is one major challenge historically in the Middle East. Substantially significant markets such as Iran, Yemen, Syria, Iraq, which have a lot of potentials, cannot be tapped into primarily because of their unrest. The next major challenge are the sanctions. Again, in these markets, even if we have a willing buyer and a willing seller, no trade can happen because of all the sanctions that are in place. Oil price stability would help big time in the Middle East. And by price stability, if the prices are above $100, which we have witnessed in the past, but then not in the recent years. So prices hovering over $100 would be a major favorable factor, but that's not been happening in the recent years. Export market protection, we've covered it extensively. So when all the markets have been closed, you cannot export from the Middle East, and Middle East in turn, without any domestic industry protection, becomes a dumping ground. And lastly, diversification from oil. Now, historically, this must have happened, but it did not because of the complacent and the comfort zone that the Middle Eastern countries have enjoyed. But now they are taking cognizance of this and making a lot of changes, but still a long way to go. Like Mohammed rightly explained, he mentioned for his billets and rebars, it's a commodity. Commodity is a commodity. The price is determined by the global suppliers and the global consumers. So no one mill can control the prices, but you can manage. And how do you manage? You don't go long or you don't go short, depending on your business cycles and depending on how your business is structured. So the way we manage is we look at our hot roll, which is our feedstock. What is the lead time to buy the feedstock? It takes about 4 months to get our feedstock, and our buyers only buy 2 months forward. So which means we naturally have a 2 months of long position, and we've come to terms with that. So at any point in time, we have a 2 months long position. And when the markets go up, we make extra profit on that 2 months long position. And when the markets go down, we lose on the extra long position that we have. So on an average in a year, it evens out. 1 month you make extra profit, 1 month you make some loss, and it evens out. The only exceptions being if in the year the prices have been continuously increasing, as what we have seen in this year, or in some years we have seen, I think it was 2012, if I remember right, when the prices were continuously falling, from Jan all the way until November. So leaving those outliers and exceptions out, on an average, it evens out. So you can only manage the prices. You cannot control the prices. That's my take on it.
Yes, for the HRC, yes, we are right now, we have finished the design stage, and we are into the tendering process. Hopefully, within the coming, let's say 4 years, we'll be able to have the commission. And here I just want to say that we are not coming into the market. We know that there are some other local producers for HRC, and we are not really competing with them because we are trying to address a different range. Our range will start from 0.8 up to 16 mm thickness and width of 1000 to 1850 mm. There are some local producers in GCC who are, let's say, producing a different range. So the total capacity will be around 1.7 million ton, and this will be done here in Abu Dhabi in Musaffah. And we are targeting different commercial grades, such as IPI grades for line pipes, grades for pressure vessels, grades for electrical steel applications, shipbuilding, and so on.